Hi, I'm Laura Mize, pediatric speech-language pathologist, and welcome to TeachMeToTalk.com's Therapy Tip of the Week. Today we're going to begin a 3-part series with toys to use for kids who are really visual. Do you know what I mean by that? These are kids who like items that spin, like watching the ceiling fan for long periods of time. Or perhaps they spin toys and watch that instead of really playing with the toys in the way they're intended. We also know that kids who are extremely visual tend to be attracted to visual information like ABCs and numbers. So those kinds of kids are the children that we're going to be talking about today. Sometimes these little guys, especially when they're younger toddlers, don't seem to play with toys unless there's a blinking light or, again, a really big visual payoff. They may not even like toys. They may just prefer to watch DVDs or play with the iPad all day or play games on their mom's phones. So over the next 3 weeks, I want to show you my favorite toys that I always use when I'm first beginning to work with young children who have these kinds of interests. And again, instead of trying to discourage that visual interest, we're going to use that visual strength to entice them to play with us, and over time even begin to target their language goals. Now the hook here is the visual piece, and that's what's going to make the kid want to stay with you and like you over time. And their whole reason for participating again is so that they can see something cool. So we have to give them something really, really fun to look at. Now this game is called Fishing Around. Now it's an older game, so you probably can't find it right now on shelves at stores like Target or Toys R Us, but look at consignment stores or Goodwill or perhaps even on eBay or at yard sales. Now there's another fishing game out there that's similar, but it's a lot more difficult for toddlers. It's one where the fish just pop up and have their mouths open, and I've found that our little friends in this earliest birth to 3 or young preschool age range have a harder time with that game because it's so hard to use the hook to get it in the mouth of the fish. So I like this game much, much better for these younger children. Now here, this is what happens. I'm going to show you. You push the turtle. Oh, there they go. You push the turtle and then the fish move around and look like they're swimming through the water. And then you push the turtle again and of course the music stops and the fish stops. So obviously you're working on cognition here or teaching cause and effect. Kids learn, I push the button, the fish swim, I hear the music, I push the button, the fish stop, the music stops. So it's a great way for kids to learn that first little cognitive milestone that we sometimes think about beginning with children who don't already know how to play with toys. And so with some kids, our goal is just that. We're not even working on the language piece or thinking about talking yet. We just want them to complete an entire play routine. So for those kinds of kids, my only goal would be is that I get them to put 2 or 3 fish in the water. We push the button, we watch the fish go. We do it several times. We may try to catch a fish with the fishing poles, but again, that may be too hard for some of our little guys. And if it's too hard for them, we don't do it. We just get a couple of little turns with this game and then we clean it up together, and that's it. There are no other demands for the first few weeks that we use this game. The goal is just to stay with me and to complete the activity. You know, so many times we as therapists jump to a level where a kid just cannot be successful. We're insisting that a child learn to request or use a word or use a sign. And for so many of our little friends, that just drives them away. They're not ready for that yet. So we need to begin at this really, really simple level, and particularly for children who have virtually no attention to anything. This is where we would start with a game like this, and again with fewer and fewer demands. We're better off playing with that toy for a couple of sessions, letting him learn to like it, and then increase those demands, but very, very, very gradually over time. Okay, let's move on and talk about kids who are already connected and kids who like to play with you, and those kids we know are going to be ready to work on your language goal. So what do we do then? We really need to start by modeling different actions and really easy vocalizations to see if we can elicit some early imitations. And again, we don't necessarily go straight to real words or even signs at this point. We may start with just the first kinds of gestures that a child would use with this game. So what would that be? It would be maybe imitating you dancing to the music once you push the turtle. It might be something like clapping when you're watching the fish spin. It could be a little bit more sophisticated if we're maybe going to have the fish slide down the slide, or it may be something as simple as trying to put the fishing pole into the hole. So anything like that. One I always use with this is once we have the fish going, I really model go, 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 go. And when a kid starts to do that, I think, gosh, he's moving toward being able to use signs. So again, you're looking at that early gestural imitation with this kind of game. Oh, let me tell you about this one. One other really fun thing that I like to do here is pretend like I'm swimming like a fish. And I might even make that a little bit more complex and add an early, easy vocalization like whoosh, 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 whoosh. I've had so many kids, so many toddlers start imitating me by doing something really silly like that in a game. And they may never have imitated any other words or even perhaps many other gestures, but when I see them starting to do this, I know they're ready. They're ready. They're starting to catch on to they need to do what I do. And that's where we start when we're working with our nonverbal little friends. You may bump it up a little bit and try a little slurpy sound, like the fish is drinking the water, like you might hold that fish up to your face and model a little, fish face. You could even do that little duck face that so many teenage girls like to do when they're taking those selfies. So check that out on Instagram if you've not seen that kind of thing. So again, like this, any little thing that you would have your little friend start to imitate from you. You may bump it up a little bit and use your exclamatory words like saying, yay, when the fish are swimming, or if you notice that a child is really intently focusing on the game, you may say something like, wow. That little breathy exclamatory word is something that I notice that my little friends will start to try to imitate when they're really just beginning to understand that they can repeat what I say. Try your verbal routines like ready, set, go, or 1, 2, 3, especially when you are starting the game and beginning to get them again to pause a little bit and wait for it before you get going. Now when a kid can do all of that, then you're going to move up to really requesting. So you can do that with words, or you can certainly do it with a general sign like more or like please if you are giving them one fish at a time. Remember, you can teach that skill in a game and then certainly move it to something more functional like requesting when they're at snack time or in the bathtub for different toys. So always think about how you can use your goal here in therapy with the child, and then teaching mom how she can use it all day, every day. Other words here that we could try, certainly beyond fish and beyond the verbal routines that we've talked about, are words like on and off, or stop and go. I've had so many kids who really learned to say the word stop, or an approximation of that when we're smacking the turtle and having him stop the fish and stop the music. Now obviously for children who are a little further along and talking a little bit, your goal is going to be vocabulary development. So you're going to be teaching new words, particularly action words with this toy like swim and slide and jump, and look for things that are even a little bit less obvious. You can make your fish kiss, you can make your fish eat the grass, drink the water, any little thing like that you would think about that would give the opportunity to target some newer words. You can use the fishing poles here and teach words like swing and like hook for for your kids, again, who are really needing to work on that richer vocabulary use. Now, toddlers are not going to be able to hook the fish by themselves, especially at the beginning, and they need you for that. So that's really, really important, and that's one way to make sure that you are included in the game, and you can certainly work on requesting help with a sign or with a word. And teaching a toddler to learn to ask for assistance is a really important pragmatic function that lots of our little friends need to learn too. After all that's happened and we're moving even further along, I even do phrases with this game like, I did it, or I got it. Those little holistic phrases are a great way to start to target those multi-word utterances. You could also play this game in the real way that it's intended by doing some matching. And if older siblings are with us during a session, that's how I keep them busy. I give them the cards and maybe a separate little set of fish so they can go off and play that part of the game by themselves. The little girl, the sister maybe, is still with us, but then mom and I and the toddler really have an opportunity to work together without the sibling being right there on top of us. And again, with your little friends, you may have some little guys who really enjoy the matching component of this game. So as you can tell, it's a super, super game to target lots and lots of different goals, and goals for children who are at many, many developmental levels. But here's the truth. You don't have to have this particular game to target all of those things. You can take the same strategies here and apply it to virtually any toy that you would be using. You have to make sure that you're following the principles. You structure the play first so that you're using a toy with properties that a child likes. And today we're talking about kids who are visual, so a toy with a really visual component to hook his attention. And then we just gradually increase those demands over time after we've established that participation piece. Don't get so caught up in, I have to immediately target words or immediately target articulation or those kinds of things. We have to start at the beginning with kids like this. And again, remember that you can take any toy and use these same kinds of things. So over the next 2 weeks, I'm going to show you two of my other go-to toys, two of my favorites that I use for kids like this. And you're going to recognize these principles over and over and over again. It's not the particular toy that's successful. It's you. Now, if you would like to see more examples of me working directly with children using these kinds of toys and these kinds of strategies, please check out my DVDs from teachmetotalk.com, and you'll find the links listed below the video here in the post. The first one is Teach Me to Talk, the DVD. It is great for parents and for therapists and speech language pathologists. You can now get ASHA credit for this and all of the DVDs that I have on teachmetotalk.com. All right, that's all for this time. I'm Laura Mize, pediatric speech language pathologist, and thanks so much for watching teachmetotalk.com's Therapy Tip of the Week.